Greetings everybody, it is I'm the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I'm from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. You know me ever since whenever I recently finished up with the Let's Play of Goldeneye 2 Lunati's Veil recently, so as a result though, I am back again. So, do you guys even remember from the likes of the forms of one of those video game collection videos that we did recently done? That is the fact that my brother Mighty did manage to able to actually tackle through the updated video game collection console videos, and as a result, it feels a little bit nicer than the forms of how it does it back in the day in 2016. But of course, about the fact that some things has to be changed from the likes of the previous counterparts. So at this point is that the 2016 version of that video game console collection is basically now outdated, so it's now an update of any sorts. So, for this particular point is that the next entry of the forms of this particular my video game collection video I'm going to be doing for you guys, especially noticeable that you noticed about the fact that recently this year marks the 25th anniversary of that very wonderful Nintendo console of ever of all time. I have no idea why I say things like that, and that's what it appears to be. The Nintendo 64, yes, this lovely N64 indeed. Now, we usually had this for about quite a long time actually. I think I usually got the first version of the N64 back in the day, at least what I've remembered ever since in ages ago. But then I believe Sonic did tell me that we actually got this specific N64 ever since in 2010. Mainly because we want to try out something new like Mario Party 1 and Mario Party 3, and eventually Mario Party 2, which, yeah, that makes it seems the case. So, yeah, the reason why we decided to actually just, before we get into the actual history about the N64 itself, this is the updated version of this collection, by the way, for this N64 games, because, well, I feel like the quality itself is okay, but, the voice clip is not all that great. It just sounds more likely a robot more than anything, so yeah, as a result though, that hopefully, and also the amount of games we have for cartridge-wise, it's pretty much limited. So because of that, yeah, I just want to classify that. So yeah, the N64 is super unique and interesting at the same time because it's a 16-bit console, or 64 console I should say. Sorry for the little bit of a tangent there. So yeah, basically, and also it has 4 controller slots, meaning you can play up to 4 players. So yeah, that's very impressive for the time. And also, much like the Super Nintendo, as well as, you know, the NES, it still utilizes cartridges, so until likely in 2001, that they'll swap it with a different media physical forms or something. So, yeah, I really love the N64 itself. It's definitely one of the coolest consoles ever. Even though it actually did manage to get itself, an alright selling units as far as I'm concerned, which I'll discuss on that in a second. So yeah, that's not to say that the reason why we're here for this is because I'm going to show you some of the games I've got. Now, speaking of games I've got, I obviously got the original cartridge versions of those games themselves, but also I'll give the honorable mentions to the forms of the Virtual Console Wii re-releases. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm going to be doing this update for you guys. So yeah, onwards to the games themselves. So, come on, let me show you around. Okay, so now on to this particular display. So it has been a long while since we actually just done something like this. So, because originally I was able to take out the system out and then try to show you the system itself like what we usually do in the past, but I just don't want to lose my cables. That's why I'm decided to do like this this time around. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, that the Nintendo 64 itself did sell alright. I mean, usually combined with Japanese, Americas, and Europe, and Australia countries, it combined those together, it actually has like 32.93 million units sold. So that's decent enough. So as a result though, it does manage to do pretty well when it comes to like, you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, let's get on with the games themselves. And good news for you guys out there, unlike I would say the 2016 version of that particular collection video, that normally we had just cartridges itself, whilst in there, in present day in 2021, we actually got everything in boxed and customizable too. So I'll show you right now. So, and as usual, I did the alphabetical order, just like the forms of how it does it in the past. So even then though, I'm sure that you might as well able to appreciate about that. So yeah, let us get things started here, starting with the greatest game of all time, at least specifically in my opinion, BanjoKazooie, one of the best collectathon games I've ever played, along with Super Mario 64, and you probably name the rest. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun playing this game, and I'm sure most people already did already. So, yeah, it gets a bit difficult later on, especially noticeable in, I'm looking at you, Rusty Bucket Bay. That is definitely the only level I'm not a big fan of. But apart from those side of things, though, I love every single aspect of this game, including, well, the story is pretty simple, and also the graphics still looks really damn good, even this made by Rare. So I do apologize for that mispronunciation for that specific company. But regardless of such, the gameplay looks spectacular, and on top of that, the worlds are so good in this game. Although, mind you, the only exception being Rusty Bucket Bay, but that's only mainly because that is one of the most frustrating worlds throughout the whole game. But I did manage to complete this game countless amount of times, one on the N64 version, along with the Xbox Live Arcade version as well. If you guys want to check out that particular Let's Play, well, I'm sure that most people already done that anyway, so yeah, best to check it out. So yeah, definitely recommend this game in particular, one of the most greatest games ever. BanjoKazooie, the sequel to one of the greatest games of all time. So yeah, if for those of you who already know about this game right here, because I'm pretty sure Maxi has basically done this Let's Play already, ever since about few weeks ago. So I did have a lot of fun playing this game as well, even though that it does take a while to get used to on the N64 version, because I have no idea. Maybe I just had a lot more accustomed to well, let's just say the Xbox Live Arcade version, because obviously that the controls on the Xbox Live Arcade version is like somewhat reversed a bit compared to the forms of this version here. I mean, I might as well be able to actually get back into this eventually. I think the only world I'm actually into right now is Witchy World so far, which I think I was on the halfway point of it. So if I got lost or confused, then I'll have to start all over again so I can able to actually get a lot of exploration stuff a bit better. But if not, then I might have to continue whatever I left off. But regardless of such, if you love BanjoKazooie, then you're obviously going to enjoy this game as well. It certainly feels a lot longer than the first game for sure, due to massive worlds and everything. So, and also what's great about this is that I got this game for quite cheap. Like, usually it cost me about 20 quid back in 2018, so yeah, quite a good pricing. Well, at least specifically the original cartridge version of the game, so yeah, I'm very pleased to have that. Diddy Kong Racing! Yes, the greatest racing game ever, next to Mario Kart 64, but I'm sure there's also the DS remake as well, but I will still say that the N64 version is probably the best version of the two. Mainly because, well, as you probably already know, that Banjo was actually in this game, and also Conker was on this game as well, which until the DS remake comes along, they just remove those two and replace them as in Dixie Kong and Tiny Kong based off from Donkey Kong 64. Well, to be more specifically, Dixie Kong for the country games and Donkey Kong 64 for Tiny Kong, but that's besides the point. So, yeah, I almost finished this game. I mean, the only thing I'm obviously going to be stuck on is the forms of, well, let's just say the fourth world, which is on Dragon Forest, because of the godforsaken silver coin challenges, and as a result, it can be a bit frustrating at times, especially noticeable towards the end. In fact, I'm not exactly sure if I was decided to do this game as a Let's Play, but let me know in the comments below, because I would like to hear your thoughts, because obviously that we've almost got to the point that we've almost completed almost every single N64 games for Let's Plays department on our collection so far. But anyway, The tracks, it's really, really cool, and especially noticeable that, oh yeah, I forgot to mention about those two games here. The music is so amazing. Whilst in here, oh man, I have a lot of nostalgia for the soundtrack on this game, especially with, I would say Frosty Village is one example, and also Agent Lake as an example for this as well. And yeah, I really wish if this game will get its re-released at some point on the Nintendo Switch Online membership service at some point, or maybe a remake on a Switch or something. Well, at least for the most part. But yeah, that's Diddy Kong Racing, a pretty cool racing game in general. So, Donkey Kong 64. Ah, yes, everyone's. Some people seem to say it's probably their favorite Donkey Kong game, or their least favorite Donkey Kong game as far as traditional, like, shift to 3D Donkey Kong game as far as I'm concerned. I do enjoy it, even though it does feel a bit tedious at times, even for when it comes to getting everything in the game, like getting all the bananas and all that stuff. But apart from those side of things, though, I adore every single of it. Like, for instance, the world layout is super cool and everything. Plus, you can able to play as 5 Kongs during the course of the entire game. Of course, being Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, along with Tiny Kong, Lanky Kong, and Chunky Kong, which I've no idea why they think that Chunky Kong is the most forgotten characters ever, which, come on Nintendo, why do you have to remove several characters in the past? I mean, bring them back for God's sakes. But anyway, yeah, for what I've got to at the point is that I'm pretty sure I'm in the middle portion of this game so far. Well, mind you, that game's bananas are so ridiculously spacious most of the time, especially noticeable if you're trying to get everything, then it can't be multitasking at the same time. And this is one of those games that you do have to play with expansion pack, which I'm pretty sure it might do the same thing for... it doesn't do the same thing. I was thinking of another game that It Was Perfect Dark is another example. But yeah, best to recommend getting this game. And I think this game is also available on the Wii U eShop version. So let's just hope that the Switch will be able to get this at some point and someday. Because, well, if anyone is going to missing out on one of the most uniquest Donkey Kong game ever, then hopefully you'll just get it on the Switch for the online membership service or something like that. Or maybe, just maybe, a sequel from that particular rumored 3D Donkey Kong game in the future made by the Odyssey team, for what I've heard. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe at the end of the year, if it's possible or not. FZero X. Yes, FZero indeed, for FZero X, I should say. No idea why I just got the sticker right there. I'm presuming this is actually printed off from the cover project, but there's no way I can get rid of it, so oh well, no big deal. So yeah, FZero X, I haven't played that much of it though, I'm afraid, apart from the fact that, well, the reason why I got this is because I'm now onto the forms of the F-Zero series I was really into at this rate, including F-Zero GX, along with the 2 Game Boy Advance games, and the one on the Super Nintendo, the one that started it all with the F-Zero series. And, it gets a bit difficult eventually, especially noticeable on the likes of, well, the hardest difficulty setting, and, I think that's as far as I can say about it. What's cool about this game, though, is the fact that they actually reference something from the likes of Mario Kart 64, for the sake of the forms of Rainbow Road, which is pretty cool, I have to say. Especially noticeable about the fact that, well, that was before when, you know, Mario Kart 8 / Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did manage to able to bring some F-Zero tracks into it, which is pretty awesome. I kind of wish that they'll do that every now and then, but even then though, yeah, we haven't heard anything new about F-Zero up to this rate, because we need those series back ever since, well, almost 20 years ago. So, anyway, I enjoyed that, especially noticeable. I do need to get a bit of practice with the controls and all that, but either way, though, a really exhilarating racing game indeed. So many really good racing games on the Nintendo 64, I find. Goldeneye 007 with Pierce Brosnan and, well, Natalia. So, yeah, because that was actually based off from the 1995 GoldenEye 007 film, which I absolutely adore, and especially noticeable I enjoyed the video game adaptation as well. even though unfortunately the actual casing, as you can see, got a little bit damaged, which I think it's probably due to the fact that the deliveries have kind of failed, honestly. But yeah, GoldenEye 007, I enjoyed that, although I haven't exactly played that much of it though, but from what I've heard, the multiplayer is actually the coolest thing ever, because it's almost like a first-person shooter kind of perspective kind of game, and it's also one of the most recognizable games ever. They also made a follow-up to this by the forms of, well, they also, like, I don't know what I say for this point right now. Although there's also the Wii remake, which I will have to admit, though, the Wii remake wasn't nearly as masterful as this is. But what I've noticed is the fact that this game is so classic in almost every single way. And I managed able to enjoy every single portions of it. So, but they also made a something similar to this called The World Is Not Enough, but it's made by the different developer, by the forms of EA as opposed to Rareware. But that's okay, I suppose. But at least I'll take this game any day than the likes of any other James Bond games think I've purchased, or I don't know. Really great first-person shooter game, so. Troopy 64, The Crystal Shards, and for those of you who already know about this game, because we did an LP of it, and I actually really enjoyed this. Especially noticeable that what's unique about this game compared to the other Kirby games is that you can able to use some combination copy abilities here and there. So that's at least a cool thing. Although technically this was meant to be for the likes of the 3D Kirby game, but it's not. It's more actually like a 2.5D, kind of like similar to Klonoa Daughter Phantomile, if I'm guessing correctly. But anyway, I really enjoyed this game, and I really like the fact that you can able to actually take control of King Diddy. I think this is more likely the first time you can able to take control of King Diddy on certain segments. I'm not exactly 100% sure, mainly because I haven't played a Kirby game for a while, and so, you know, the next true 3D Kirby game is expecting to coming, which is in a Forgotten Land until next year, so I'm really looking forward to that. So, yeah, and also I found the multiplayer sub-games is actually quite a lot of fun. Although, mind you, the only thing I did not like about is the picking apple kind of mini game, because it feels a little bit too finicky for my taste. But apart from that, really great Kirby game. And I'm sure that will be on the Switch online membership service at some point. Riot Wars, aka Star Fox 64. Yes, the most iconic game of all time when it comes to Star Fox games. And oh no, I really enjoyed this as well. In fact, I might actually do a Let's Play of this at some point in the future, but not now, because obviously more stuff to do. So, yeah, when it comes to this game in particular, I enjoyed the visuals of the game, and they also remake this from the 3DS. Although what's weird about the rest of the Star Fox series, every now and then, they keep on reimagining this up onto the Wii U, which at this rate, I'd much rather prefer as a remake for the Switch or something like that, but it's kind of hard to predict right now. But anyway, and one thing I really loved about this is the fact that I feel like the controls are so perfection indeed. And also the multiplayer, for what I've heard and seen anyway, is actually really, really dang cool as well. And I believe, oh, speaking of the Switch actually, this was on the actual the Switch online membership service as far as I recall. Yeah, I think I might have miscatched that, so I do apologize for that. But yeah, you're probably able to actually already pick this up anyway. So yeah, a really great, amazing game indeed for the Star Fox fans. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Oh yes, the obscure Zelda game ever. Mind you, I haven't played this yet though, most notably because I'm still in the middle of something with The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time first. Although, there's also the remake version on this by the forms of The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D for the 3DS. And, oh man, this game looks so good. And especially noticeable, this is one of the most unique Zelda games ever, because you have to rely on the actual time limit thing, like a 3-day limit system. So as a result though, I enjoyed that concept, and especially noticeable about the fact that, well, usually on the 3DS version, they did manage to improve a lot of things on the N64 version, although mind you, I still haven't got back into this yet, because I still need to finish Ocarina of Time first. But, you know, for its time, back in 2000, this is probably the most darkest game I've ever seen, especially noticeable how cryptic it looks, or something like that. So, yeah, pretty amazing, underrated, well, cool Zelda game. Even though I will get around to that at some point, so, but not now. Speaking of Zelda, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, the most iconic game ever, next to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I can assure that everyone appreciates with this. Especially noticeable, this is the first ever 3D Zelda game that has ever existed, and wow, this game's a masterpiece in almost every single way. Despite the visuals didn't age that well, but apart from those side things though, everything else in this game is so brilliant. Especially noticeable how the fact that, well, you can explore around Hyrule in 3D, and that's actually really super cool and everything. I think the only point I've actually got into at the moment is that I think I recently completed the Forest Temple for the sake of Adult Link. So, at least I think I'm on the halfway point of the game. So once I've done with this game, then I'm pretty sure I'll move on to Majora's Mask at this rate. So, yeah, pretty cool, amazing Zelda game. And I think this is on the Switch Online membership services as well. Although for Majora's Mask, though, it will be for the later time. So, possibly during forms of next year, if possible. Mario Golf, the one that started it all with the Mario Golf series, with the Mario's name on title on there. Didn't play that much of this installment, because I know for the fact that unlike the future sequels of Mario Golf, including the recent release, Mario Golf Super Rush, I found this game kind of difficult sometimes. I will have to admit it though right away. I think it's mainly because the actual, the power of the gauge timing system feels a little bit too archaic for my taste. But apart from those aside things though, this game still looks cool even to this day. Including, there's actually a feature that you can play mini golf, which, come on Nintendo, bring Mario Golf into something more accurately in addition to standard golf, but also mini golf with it too. I mean, that would be cool, much like Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, in addition to Banana Mania, but I digress. But for its time though, this game looks really dang good, even though despite it doesn't age that well. But the one on the GameCube is fantastic, and World Tour is great, and Super Rush, good, but nothing outstanding or amazing. But apart from those side things though, this game looks so great. I think I've almost gonna let my cases go slip, but that won't happen again. Mario Kart 64, the iconic racing game ever, next to Diddy Kong Racing and FZero X, and I really had a good time with this game. Sure, the graphics doesn't age that well, especially noticeable compared to the follow-up games, but apart from its time, this game is a masterpiece in almost every way. I enjoyed the track layouts and everything. Specifically, my favorite track in the game will definitely have to be DK's Jungle Parkway, and as well as the forms of Karimari Desert, and also Toad's Parkway, and also a lot of tracks I absolutely enjoy. But either way though, it does take a while to get used to with the controls and the momentum side of things, but yeah, for its time, especially noticeable after 25 years ago when it first came out in Japan, although a year later until in Europe and America, this is a must-have for the N64 owners, and it's a good thing that this game came out on the Switch Online membership service. So, yeah, pretty cool, and you can able to play the game for the first time ever on online play, which is pretty awesome. But it's kind of a shame you have to pay the ridiculous amount of price with that system. Mario Party, the one that started it all with the Mario Party games. And for the first game in the series, after I managed to play it for a bit, it's not the best installment of the N64 trilogy-wise, in my opinion. Sure, it's great and everything. Like, the minigames, well, there are some good parts and some classic minigames here now as well. Most notably Bumper Balls, Facelift, and all the other jazz. But it also has some very questionable minigames like Paddle Battle and, worst of all, Tug of War, because it requires you to rotate the actual control stick multiple times, and it really hurts your palms if you decide to able to play aggressively. But apart from those side things though, I do like the boards concept on this, especially noticeable as like character themed boards and all that stuff. Although, mind you, that I kind of prefer the follow-up boards a little bit better, mainly because of the actual aesthetics or just anything else, although I may be biased, but still, for its time, it is a cool game back then, but I would say it's probably one of the weaker N64 games when it comes to Mario Party games, in my opinion, but it's not too bad. It's just to have some very questionable archaic design choices here and there. But for its time, though, it's a good start to the Mario Party series, and so it starts to get even more better. Speaking of better, Mario Party 2, everyone's fan-favorite Mario Party game ever, myself included. So as a result, everything I loved about Mario Party 2 is just as efficiency than the likes of Mario Party 1. Like, for one thing, I feel like the minigames are very, very well balanced here, and especially noticeable, no archaic design choices. And also on top of that, I really love the boards in this game. Like, especially noticeable for Horrorland is the best example, especially noticeable it has the day and night system, which is really, really cool for its time. And of course, they brought back on Superstars, which is amazing. And also the, the actual game boards. Well, I've already mentioned the game boards. And overall, it's just a gem-packed to play, even for multiple people, for, multitude of friends, so that way you can able to enjoy your experience. And also, this game is actually the first introduction into the usage of the items and all that stuff. Technically, Mario Party 1 does have items, but you can only turn them on and off for the Mushroom Bank or something like that. But for this game in particular, it does have a very cool item system, like the mushrooms, magic lamps, and you name the rest. Possibilities were endless. So as a result, though, yeah, this is a must-have for an N64 collector's sake. And I don't know if they were able to actually bring this onto the Switch, because technically they already remade 2 boards in Mario Party 2 from Mario Party Superstars recently. So, and also this game does manage to get itself its re-release on the Wii and the Wii U. So, even though it's kind of a shame we can't get the Wii version anymore, just because the Wii Shop channel is officially closed. But you can still get on the Wii U, despite most people play less of it now, especially noticeable how the Wii U is a terrible failure. Mario Party 3, and I can simply to say that this is also really great as well. Despite there's also some questionable choices, mainly for game guide minigames I'm not exactly a huge fan of. And also the duel mode, it's fine for the first time, but loses novelty very, very quickly if you try to replay through story mode several times already. But apart from those side of things though, the minigames are still great, although one in particular exception being the forms of, Cheap Cheap Chase, and also Merry Go Chomp, and The Beat Goes On, and MPIQ, and all that stuff. But the minigames have some really good selection, with Snowball Summons, as well as Chip Shot Challenge, and Toadstool Titan, Mario's Puzzle Party, etc, etc. And also the actual game boards looks very, very spectacular to look at, despite it was on the actual paper aesthetic and all that stuff. But hey, at least on the upside is though, I'm very glad able to have this for the longest amount of time, especially that unlike Mario Party 1 and 2 here, that it doesn't cost that expensive. Well, mind you, Mario Party 2 is almost going to get skyrocketing prices for box sake. For Mario Party 3 is probably the most expensive game out of the lot, mainly due to the fact that it's released on the late N64's lifespan or something like that. But hey, at least it's pretty awesome to be able to have this though, so very glad to have that game. So, excuse me for a second there. Okay, I got the last stack here. Mario Tennis, and this is another one of those games, the one that started it all when it comes to really, really good Mario Tennis games until it gets downhill on the Wii U, which that maybe seems the case. So yeah, for Mario Tennis, despite I did have some bit of issues trying to actually get the game working, mainly because this is one of those games I have the hardest time to start up, mainly because I'm guessing it's one of those old-aged cartridges that you get like decolored or anything, but still works though, even despite having to get a bit of a struggling to try and turn it on. Okay, sorry for this jump cut right there because I somehow got interrupted by the awkward commentary, so I do apologize for that. So yeah, for Mario Tennis, for its time back in the day in 2000, this is one of the greatest tennis games I've ever seen, especially notable with this introduction to Waluigi himself. But the courts wise, nothing in depth to it, but apart from those side of things, though, it's quite fleshed out, especially noticeable with that Bowser court stage, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I haven't played that much of it either, especially noticeable. I'm used to with Mario Power Tennis and the future tennis installments, but for its time though, this is certainly one of the greatest Mario Tennis games ever. So next to Mario Power Tennis and all that stuff. So. Paper Mario, aka Mario Story in Japan. So yeah, another one of those greatest one of them all for comes to likely start of the actual amazing RPG games, specifically the two installments of the Paper Mario games, until they keep on switching things up a bit in the future installments. But for the first game, Paper Mario is really amazing. I love the story arc and as well as the forms of the battle RPG system. And overall, this is a really grand adventure indeed. Especially noticeable, you have to go through several chapters or anything else to be more specific. So, yeah, definitely meaning able to actually do a let's play of this game in the future. Let me know in the comments, by the way. So I just want to let you guys know how far I can able to do all that. Luckily, I got it on the Wii Virtual Console version, so I can do it as for that better quality rather than just like a wobbly game footage for that sake of time. So I think that's probably the best option. But yeah, it's another one of those really rare N64 games next to Mario Party 3. I think my guess is because it's on the N64's late lifespan in English countries, including United Kingdom. But hey, at least it's for its time though. I actually really adored this game. I need to get back into it at some point so I can able to practice this this first entry in the series. And eventually on the Switch online membership service, this will able to be added. So yeah, pretty great able to play on the go, despite you have to get a Wi-Fi connections for multiplayer. Although, sure enough, this is not multiplayer-esque, it's more likely a single-player adventure. Super Mario 64! Woohoo! Yes, the iconic N64 game ever, which is probably true. And overall, I had a really great time with this game. Sure, the graphics aren't aged as well, but for its time, back in 1996 or 97, this is a really great game indeed. And it's probably one of my favorite N64 games of all time, next to Paper Mario, as well as, you know, BanjoKazooie, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, etc, etc. So as a result though, this game also is getting itself the actual Switch Online membership service as well, which is a bit redundant because despite this game was also on the Switch for the Super Mario 3D All-Stars compilation, if you're trying to get a second hand. So yeah, you're able to get two versions of Super Mario 64 despite it emulated quite differently for what I've noticing this. But anyway, a really great game, should definitely recommend it, especially noticeable for the N64 collector's items. Super Smash Bros. The one that started it all when it comes to this amazing fighting crossover series. And this game does age not exactly all that well, I must be honest here. Well, apart from those side of things, that is the fact that this is a great start of the Super Smash Bros. Series. And in the future sequels and onwards, it starts to get a lot better, especially noticeable in Ultimate's case. Especially now that Sora was actually in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is 10 times as awesome. So, anyway, for the first game in the series of the Super Smash Bros. Game, I actually really enjoyed it back then, especially noticeable that it is kind of hard to go back into it right now, mainly because of the forms of some very simplistic controls and all that stuff. But apart from those side of things, that is a great start of the forms of this amazing fighting games. So, yeah, that's what I can honestly try to say about the forms of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64. So, yeah, really great game. So I don't know if this will be on the Switch Online membership service, but we'll see what happens in the future. And finally, in terms of the N64 cartridges, including boxed variations as well, despite it's customizable, Yoshi's Story. This is another one of those underrated games I've ever played in terms of Yoshi games. Although, sure, the controls might be a bit too stiff for my taste, even from the original N64 version. But for its time, it's actually not too bad, even though it plays a little bit differently from Yoshi's Island for the Super Nintendo. Like, you have to able to collect the amount of fruits you can have to collect and all that stuff, rather than rescuing Baby Mario and all that stuff. But I believe the ultimate objective is the fact that, well, you still have to collect fruits and all that stuff before you move on to the next level. So, yeah, I'm meaning able to actually just to do a let's play of this at some point in the future as well. But we just don't know when, though, because, 2021 is almost getting close to the end. So, yeah, a really unique Yoshi game for sure. But of course, we're not exactly done with this yet, because, well, we've already got the actual boxed games out of the way. But of course, we're not done yet, because I'm going to be showing you some virtual console games on my white Wii that I just managed to recently hooked up. Mind you, it's not much, because, well, I'll show you what I mean. So, onwards to my white Wii then. Okay guys, sorry for that particular jump cut, because I recently hooked up to my white Wii to show you guys quite a few remaining games onto my Wii Virtual Console re-releases that I've managed to got onto the, well, let's just say on my SD card. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking that, well, you've already got Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Paper Mario, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Mario Party 2, Super Smash Bros., The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Kirby 64, Yoshi's Story, F-Zero, as well as the forms of, that's pretty much it, really. But there are 3 games that I don't have as in the original cartridge for. Mainly because, well, I used to have it, but it was actually in a different house somewhere. And one of them is actually pretty expensive, original cartridge-wise. So these are the only 3 remainings I do have. And those are Pokemon Snap. I actually enjoyed the original game. Even though it's kind of a shame I no longer have the original cartridge for it anymore. And I'm sure that some toy sales will mention more about that specific discussion until for later. So, yeah, that's Pokemon Snap. For those of you who've seen our Let's Play of it, you should definitely check it out. And also we've got Pokemon Puzzle League, which is a nice little distraction puzzle game, even though I wasn't exactly great at Puzzle Leagues that much. But apart from those side things, though, it's actually pretty good. Especially noticeable that it only came out in the English countries, specifically European and Americans, whilst the Japanese version doesn't seem to get this for some reason, which I absolutely have no clue. And finally we have Cruisin' USA. It's basically based off of the arcade game called Cruisin' USA with the same name, but with a little bit more of a low budget or something like that. I have no idea. But for its time though, it is really good. So, for I've played anyway. So yeah, that was it folks, that was it for my updated version of my Nintendo 64 game collection. So I hope you guys do enjoy this much more of an appreciated version of that particular collection video. No, I sure do, because it certainly feels a lot better than back in 5 years ago, roughly. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. So I think, join us next time in terms of our video game collection video update videos. Up next it will be the Nintendo GameCube, as where it stares at me the whole time whenever I decide to able to do the Wii Virtual Console games, as you can see. Which, mind you, that's another one of the video game systems. It's getting its celebration birthday for the sake of this year so far, for at least in Japan and North America, but not in Europe. But regardless of such, I don't mind doing this. So either way though, hope you guys are looking forward to that. So I'll see you then, and ciao. This is me, Ray the Flying Squirrel, and I'll let any toys else can do this, so see you then. Ciao.